And there was no dominant team this year in the league. Everybody's buzzing about Niagara with the Player of the Year with Alvin Young, a tremendous team this year. But if Niagara makes the NCAAs, that'll be the first time they make the NCAAs since 1970 with Calvin Murphy. A lot of people are comparing Alvin Young's scoring ability with Calvin Murphy. I'm not too sure about that.
Right, and Alvin Young doesn't want that comparison either. He tells his coach, whoa, take it easy, coach.
Slow down, back off that.
Okay, let's check out the brackets here in the 1999 Marine Midland MAAC tournament, brought to you by Citizens Communications, and the first to take one of the final 4 slots, St. Peter's, the number 5 seed, knocking off Canisius coming from behind.
Well, Loyola Niagara winner of this game is going to have to play a very, very tough St. Peter's team. Reason being, they're playing high on emotions right now. Ricky Bellinger, Jamar Hunter, Khalif Allen are playing the best basketball of their careers right now. St. Peter's could be a very dangerous team to play.
Meanwhile, on the evening bracket, Iona against Marist. If you're the Gales as a number 3 seed, you're thinking, why do we get the Red Foxes in the first round? They played them tough twice, and Kashif Hamid hit a 3-pointer right at the buzzer just to beat him a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that's how tough it was, and that's Iona's first-round game.
Right, although Iona right now is one of the hottest teams in the conference. They're getting a lot of good play inside from the big fellas. Hamid and Miller have been the difference for Iona down the stretch.
Meanwhile, Sienna's scratching its head saying, wait a second. We're facing Ryder in the first round. The Bronx were picked with the Saints in the preseason to be number 2. The Bronx weren't doing so well in the regular year because of injuries, but now they're healthy. They're on a roll, and Sienna at 22-5 plays a tough Ryder team in the first round.
And the issue with Ryder right now is that the car now is out of the shop. Everybody's healthy right now, and all of a sudden Ryder has a new basketball team. They're playing with the big guys up front. McPeak and Lacey are starting to play great basketball. But the difference for Ryder has been R.J. Wicks. Defensively has been the stopper now for Ryder, and all of a sudden the complexion of that team is a very, very tough team to play against.
Well, that's the evening part of our quarterfinal action here at the Marine Midland Arena today. The game coming up, though, Niagara against Loyola. When we come back, we'll break that matchup down for you. The top-seeded Purple Eagles trying to move on to round 2. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. Coach of the Year, Joe Mahalik, has his top-seeded Purple Eagles soaring. Led by Young's 25 points per game, Niagara is among the favorites here in Buffalo this weekend. However, Buffalo native Jason Rowe has other ideas. Loyola's dynamic point guard is second in the MAAC in scoring and tops in steals and assists, along with big Rodney Platt inside. It's the Greyhounds of Loyola against the Purple Eagles of Niagara in the MAAC quarterfinals next. MAAC basketball tournament. Game number 2 of our men's quarterfinals between the top-seeded Niagara Purple Eagles and the 9th-seeded Loyola Greyhounds. Welcome back, everybody. Doug Sherman along with Glenn Consor. Glad you could stay with us for this fantastic day of basketball in Western New York. And the Purple Eagles come in as the number 1 seed, but clearly not the dominant number 1 seed. They were able to win through a tiebreaker with Siena after having the same record during the regular season. But as we take a look at the brackets in this tournament, you see that the Purple Eagles did get that number 1 spot.
Well, Niagara came on strong. Some big wins coming at the end of the season. Siena losing to Iona, I think, really hurt them. But Niagara, what a great year, a great coaching job by Mr. Mihalik.
Joe Mihalik, the coach of the year in the MAAC. Meanwhile, we always talk about the guards, and, well, we're a broken record, but is this the best backcourt in the MAAC? Who knows? Jeremiah Johnson and Alvin Young, clearly 2 of the best.
Well, it could be. Everybody talks about their offense, but I think it's their defense. What they can do defensively is tremendous. They pick up a lot of steals, but it's Alvin Young's ability to get in the lane, Jeremiah Johnson's ability to get in the lane and make outside shots. They become such a dangerous tandem.
Meanwhile, the inside-outside combo for the Loyola Greyhounds is dynamic. We've talked about the history of Jason Rowe. The Buffalo native has not had great games here in Buffalo. Maybe had some other things on his mind, but he had a great game last night, and he'll be a handful again here today.
Well, Jason Rowe's ability in the transition game to finish is what makes him so dangerous. He's got great defense. He leads the nation in steals and the conference, of course. He can finish defensively. He's going to have to do a great job this game. But the big guy inside, Carroll and Platt, are going to really need to do a job this game.
Okay, what are the keys to the game? First, for the Niagara Purple Eagles, they're brought to us by Citizens Communications.
Loyola is not a deep team. I really believe that Niagara is going to have to use their bench and try to up-tempo this game to wear down Loyola. But more importantly, they're going to have to stop Rowe from getting in the lane. From Niagara's standpoint, Loyola's standpoint, they're going to need to punch the ball inside. Platt's going to need a big game, but they're really going to have to contain the guards between Jeremiah Johnson and Alvin Young. Just pick your spots there.
Okay, when we come back, we'll have the starting lineups in the opening tip-off between the Greyhounds and the Purple Eagles. Loyola against Niagara from the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. This game is brought to you in part by Marine Midland Bank for all your financial needs. The Pepsi-Cola Company. GMAC, the GM College Grad Program, and your local Pontiac dealers. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Bob Stores, great buys on brands you wear. The New York Lottery Games, hey, you never know. Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. Mazda, get in, be moved. And by Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. Back in Buffalo, Doug Sherman along with Glenn Consor. Starting lineups first for the Niagara Purple Eagles. Brought to you by GMAC Services and Jeremiah Johnson, Alvin Young in the backcourt. Mike Pawerka, the Boston College transfer, in the middle with Terry Edwards and Danny Amponsa. And the starting lineups for the Loyola Greyhounds. Jason Rose at the point, as we talked about. And Dino Gaudio's club. We'll also have Rod Platt inside. Hurd, Carroll, and Anthony Walker, the star freshman, part of the MAAC rookie team for the Greyhounds, will also be in the starting 5. Joe Mihalik, the 1999 MAAC Coach of the Year, in his first season as head coach of the Purple Eagles. And you see the numbers. And on the flip side, Dino Gaudio. Well, Glenn, if Niagara, I know this is a couple of days away, but if Niagara doesn't win this tournament here as the top seed, but they're able to make it to the finals, do you think they will have earned themselves a spot into the NIT?
I think they deserve it, no question about it. They won a very, very strong league this year. The RPI rankings have been 13, 12, in that range during the course of the season. Absolutely, I think they deserve an NIT spot. No question about it. And those guys will agree with me, I think.
Absolutely. Purple Eagles with a record of 16-11 coming in. They went 13-5 in league play. And we are underway. The Purple Eagles, the top seed, wearing their gray uniforms with purple trim, while the Greyhounds wearing their green road uniforms. Jeremiah Johnson and Alvin Young, the most explosive 1-2 backcourt combo in the league. They are capable of putting up points in a hurry. Johnson, a 6-foot senior from Herndon, Virginia, with the three-point shot. Well short. Rowe with the rebound. Walker from the corner.
Oh, Loyola starting out in a 3-2 zone. Johnson making the first miss. Now, keep your eye on Alvin Young right now. Dino Gaudio is going to change his defenses quite often this game now, getting out of the zone, going to a man. Expect to see Loyola play the box and one on Alvin Young. And that's when 4 guys play a zone, 1 guy plays a man-to-man.
Nice defense by Carroll, among the league's shot blockers, helping out to come over and deny Alvin Young.
And I think any type of defense that Loyola throws at Niagara, that man in your screen right there is going to get his points. Alvin Young is one of these guys that just knows how to get to the basket. He's got a quick first step.
Edwards spots up. Rebound Walker. And we'll talk about the first-year players who've really come on in the second half. Anthony Walker is among the top of the list. 6'3" guard from outside of Boston. And has really helped fill the hole at the 2-guard position for the Greyhounds. Here comes Jeremiah Johnson off the turnover. Young from the corner. Blanchard heard the board.
One of the things that Dino Gaudio is going to have to be concerned about. Defensively, Alvin Young leaks a little bit. He likes to cheat, cherry pick just a little bit. You got to get a guy back defensively. If Jason Rowe penetrates, Walker's going to have to make sure he gets out on Alvin Young in the transition game.
Here's Roderick Platt with his first touch in the half-court set. Underneath Hurd, backing down. Cowork of the rebound. Alvin Young and Johnson. Well, this is going to be the first year in many years that the MAAC has had 2 players finish the season having scored more than 20 points a game per average. Jason Rowe at 21 points a game and Alvin Young at 25 points per game. The last time was 92 when Randy Woods of LaSalle and Kevin Green of Loyola scored that much. So points are definitely up in the MAAC this year as Amponsa lays it in. It's been a trend as the 90s have gone on to get more scoring again.
If you remember LaSalle and the MAAC those years, it seemed like every year they had someone scoring 20 points a game back then.
Woods, Overton,
Simmons,
Rich Tarr. 17:20 to go. First half, we're in Buffalo.
I think when people look back, Doug, on this year, everybody's going to be thinking about the strength of the guards on every team in the MAAC this year. This has been tremendous. And this game today is no different. Walker really has come on in that guard spot. Of course, Jason Rowe, one of the top guards in the country. Alvin Young, Jeremiah Johnson. The difference, though, is that Niagara is deep. See, Niagara wants to make this into a marathon. Use their bench, get an up-tempo style of play. Use guys like Darryl Green, another guard out of DeMatha, Luke Dobrich, Nate Bernovsky. They're just loaded.
Off of steals is where Alvin Young gets a lot of his points. He's third in the conference in steals. And here comes another turnover. Look for an intentional foul, perhaps. No, Amponsa will go to the line to shoot 2. Loyola fortunate to get just the shooting foul on that transition, but the Greyhounds have to take better care of the ball.
Jason Rowe on the crossover here. See, he didn't cross over quick enough. You have to cross over below your knees to keep control of that basketball. And they see Amponsa with the steal. He's a very athletic player, brings a lot of energy to the table for Niagara.
Blanchard Hurd commits the first foul of the ball game.
Got to give a lot of credit to Joe Mihalik, who has won the Coach of the Year for Niagara. And one of the nice things that he has done when he first met with Jeremiah Johnson and Alvin Young, he basically threw him the basketball and said, hey, this is your team. I'll coach you, but you got the free reins here. I'm opening up the doors.
Jason Rowe out of traditional high school here in Buffalo. High post Hurd into the corner row, working around Edwards. Reverse layup. No good. Put it all the way up on the top of the glass, but Roderick Platt there to put it back in.
If there is a thorn in the side of Niagara, it's going to be defensive rebounding. They're going to have to keep guys like Hurd, Platt, and Carroll off the glass. Pawerka's going to have to go to school here.
Alvin Young guarded by Carroll. Kick it back out, Edwards. Carroll the rebound. There's a young man who has played a strong last month or two of the season. Brian Carroll has really picked it up inside for Loyola. Good help defense by Edwards. He knocks it out of bounds off of his leg into the Niagara bench, and it'll be Loyola basketball when we come back. An officials timeout with 15:35 left to go first half. We're tied at 5. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. Today's Citizens Communications Did You Know feature brought to you by Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. And did you know that Bo Larrigan captained the Spanish junior national team to the bronze medal at the Junior World Championship? And I think the biggest kick I get out of that Latin-speaking backcourt is that they can speak to each other. Bobby Joe Hatton and Bo Larrigan, one from Spain, one from Puerto Rico, and they can keep their secrets.
Absolutely. They could make some comments, and Dave McGarity might not understand them.
Well, that's true, too. I was thinking to keep the secrets away from the opposition.
When they come out of the game.
Pick and roll to Pawerka. He'll go to the line for 2.
Good penetration out top. The ball is swung around the perimeter, and Pawerka wide open. He picks it up. He just couldn't finish. You would think a guy that strong upper body could finish those plays. Just couldn't finish that one.
Pawerka from Whitby, Ontario, one of the many Canadian kids who comes through the Niagara program. Nate Bernoski comes into the game for the first time. And Danny Amponsa goes out. Pawerka, one of the tri-captains. We talk so much about Johnson and Young, but it's important for Pawerka to play big inside. Carroll tried to dribble his way out of the double team. Young was out of bounds when he was touching the ball, trying to strip it away from Carroll, so it's Loyola ball. Greyhounds catch a break there. 7-5 Niagara. 15-10 to go in the first half.
Niagara now playing a 2-3 zone. And they're going to have to focus their efforts out top. Walker can make three-point shots, and so can Rowe.
Blanchard Hurd. His first 2 points, he comes in averaging over 12 a game. How about the deep 3 for Pawerka?
See, I don't think that should be option A when you bring the ball down the floor. That's got to be like a D or an E.
And Edwards winds up committing the foul back the other way as Rowe pushed it back the other way. Well, the winner of this game will take on St. Peter's in the semifinals tomorrow. The Peacocks beat Canisius in our first game 80-72, and Jason Rowe is trying to lead his Loyola Greyhounds past at Niagara, and it's going to take a big effort from Jason Rowe. Second leading scorer in the conference at just under 22 a game, and that's his first point here this afternoon. Led the league in assists, led the league in steals, first team All-Star.
Second in the nation in steals. Great anticipation skills, incredible quickness, great foot speed.
Walker got a hand on the rebound, but Niagara's got it. Southpaw Jeremiah Johnson hits.
Shades of the last game between Hunter and Holmes. Now Jeremiah Johnson using the big screen from Pawerka out top.
9-8 Niagara. Look away pass, and Hurd wasn't looking. When you pass throw the look away pass, the recipient is not supposed to be the one looking away.
That's right. Cameraman stood right in there, got nailed with the ball, didn't even move.
Caught him in the thigh.
Great job by that guy.
Pawerka at the high post, hands to Alvin Young. Look at Brian Carroll. He's got the defensive assignment and makes Young throw it away.
Carroll's doing a nice job. See, he presents a different problem for Alvin Young because he's so big. Carroll's 6'7", 6'8". He's got the quick hands, long arms. It's going to be tough for Young to shoot over Carroll.
And it helps that Carroll, as you look at the turnovers, that Carroll is left-handed. So he naturally has his left hand up to block the shot
on the right-hander.
Exactly.
Young. Good point, Doug. We're doing color here.
I know. I'm ready. We got a long day here.
Well, it might be happening.
I know.
Come 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Howard Simon getting in on the action.
Oh, he's got the quick hands, Howard.
I think the crowd here is booing Howard. They know him from the Empire Sports Network. He didn't come up cleanly with it.
As you see Niagara now sitting in that 2-3 zone. Blanchard Hurd becomes dangerous in the zone because he's one of those guys that really knows how to flash.
How about Jeremiah Johnson coming down to help out while Bernowski was giving up 4 inches fighting? Good defense by the Purple Eagles, and Johnson gets the roll.
Oh, he's so quick. The thing about Jeremiah Johnson's game is that he's fearless. He makes big shots, and he's not afraid to take big shots.
Rowe, another look away. This time Hurd was looking, but he missed it. Blanchard Hurd only 1 for 4 from the floor to start the game. Edwards, drive to the basket. There's another case where he was left alone, could have taken a 15-foot jumper, but instead drove into traffic, and here come the Greyhounds. Great move by Rowe, and he lays it in.
Oh, I like that. Little shake, bake, and then the take. Just froze the defense.
We saw in the play-in game last night, Jason Rowe kind of do an Isaiah Thomas flip to himself in transition that last time.
Oh, he's got a host of moves, and then he got a little anxious, and then picked up the foul on Johnson. A little shake. Threw it out in front, froze Johnson, and they're going to have a little battle going between these two guys. Expect to see that. If you see Rowe take Johnson, expect to see Johnson come right back at Rowe, and that's what we're going to see. A little one-on-one stuff. I like it. You just can't get carried away with it.
Alvin Young misses. He saw that he had Clifford Strong just off the bench on him in place of Carroll, trying to make him pay. They gave him just a little bit of room, but he came up short. Also, Apostolos Nasiu has come into the game for the Greyhounds. Walker back in, the starting shooting guard for Loyola.
You see the full court pressure from Niagara. And they're going to try to wear down Loyola. They're a very deep team. Loyola is not. It's been a problem for Dino Gaudio all year, is getting bench contribution.
Rowe seems to be feeling it. And he hit that right in front of the Niagara bench and took a glance back to the Purple Eagles sitting there. And just like you said, Glenn, tit for tat, Johnson tried to say, hey.
See, Johnson's going to have to be careful because Johnson's going to have to make sure he gets his other players around him involved in the offense. And he has to let the game come to him. He can't push it.
Strong move by Clifford Strong, freshman from Brooklyn, out of Bishop Laughlin.
And he's playing some great basketball. Did a great job on Didier Boucard in the play-in game yesterday. Was very tough, physical underneath.
Peter Strobel has come into the game for Niagara. Now you've got Carroll back on Young, who tries to go to the spin move. Little hesitation. Boom.
See, Alvin Young is just so quick with his dribble, and he's got great pump fakes. He knows how to get the defense up in the air.
And he's got that Earl the Pearl Monroe spin move. Spin dribble. 11:30 left to go in the first half. 15-13, Loyola on top of Niagara. Nasiu. Bernowski the rebound. Nate Bernowski's role has grown with Kevin Jobity's injury. We should mention that the Purple Eagles have spent most of the season without their star center, who was averaging 16 points and 8 rebounds a game because of a pectoral muscle injury. And Nate Bernowski is the guy who, despite being undersized, there he is inside banging. It didn't work that time, but he has done yeoman's work for the Purple Eagles. Jason Rowe. How about that kid? Junior from traditional high school here in Buffalo.
He's got big-time jets, and he can blow by the defense. Niagara's going to have to make sure they get back now in the transition game and stop Rowe. We talked about how important it was to stop him in the half-court game. Well, now he's doing a nice job of pushing the ball up the floor.
Well, we saw the last couple of years when he had a veteran running mate in the backcourt in Mike Powell. In the half-court set, they would throw the backdoor alley-oop lob to their 5'10" point guard. Rowe would throw it down. We haven't seen that in the offensive repertoire this year. I think it's because you've got a freshman at the 2 guard. But the kid has got unbelievable ups. And maybe next year as a senior, Rowe will get that chance. They have a foul and a timeout on the floor. 10:32 left to go in the first half. And Loyola's got itself a 17-13 lead on the top-seeded Purple Eagles of Niagara. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this.
This is my business card. I'm a reporter and co-host for Adelphia. How did I get there? Well, before this, I worked on air at a local TV station. Good evening, this is Jody Johnston with a news update. I got that job thanks to an internship I did at Canisius. I guess it proves when you graduate from Canisius, a lot of good things are in the cards.
Marine Midland Bank is proud to sponsor the Marine Midland Family Section. Tickets and programs for today's game were provided by Marine Midland Bank for all your financial needs. Doug Sherman, Glenn Consor, and Jack Armstrong back with you. And Jack, what have you got?
Amazing story. Ray Midland, who's the second leading scorer in the country at St. Francis of New York, was our top recruit when I was at Niagara about 5 years ago. He ended up going to Davidson and then transferring to St. Francis. But imagine Niagara with Alvin Young and Ray Midland, the top two scorers in the country. I probably would have been a smarter coach.
Well, those kind of players really could help you, Jack, that's for sure. That's a great story. Ray Midland really lighting it up for Ronnie Gagnon at St. Francis. And imagine those two guys. Midland's one of these guys that 6'5", could rebound and got that inside game.
Walker, the deep three. No, Carroll sealed off Akbar Waheed, and he got the layup.
Carroll's the best offensive rebounder on this Loyola team, very active.
Waheed, offensive foul. Walker held his ground.
I like that, to see the freshman step in, Anthony Walker, and take the charge. And Waheed, a little out of control there.
Well, we talk about where the Niagara program is these days, and Jack certainly laid the foundation, and Joe Mihalik has helped to let it take off. And this is the first time since 1971 and 1972 that this program has had back-to-back winning seasons. Last year in Jack's final year, and then this year under Joe Mihalik. And, I mean, you're going back to the Frank Layden days up at Niagara, and the big name, Calvin Murphy, of course. Marshall Wingate, another one of those stars, back with Niagara. And it looks like the Purple Eagles have their program back, if not to that level, approaching it. For work of the rebound.
You can see how Niagara likes to push the ball up the floor on made and missed baskets, and matching up in the transition game outside of the three-point line is going to be crucial for Loyola, because you got guys like Jeremiah Johnson, Alvin Young, Bernovsky can make those shots, those three-point shots. You got to match up early.
Grant Mack is in the game at the point. And a 22nd timeout called by Loyola. Dino Gaudio hasn't liked the last couple of offensive sets when Jason Rowe was out of the game. So we'll talk it over with 9:07 to go in the first half. Greyhounds lead 19-16 over Joe Mihalik and the Purple Eagles.
Well, we talked about the transition game and Loyola's ability to get back. This is a slow push here, but look how long it takes for anyone to get to Bernovsky. You got to match up outside the three-point line. It used to be in the old days, before there was a three-point line, everybody would run back to the paint and then match up. Now you can't do that. You got to match up early.
Let's send it to Jack. What do you hear? Mr. Armstrong? Perhaps, yeah, Jack.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Dozing off there for a second. No, I wasn't. No, Dino Gaudio talked a lot in his last huddle about his making sure they do a good job attacking against the Niagara pressure, being very deliberate within the half-court offense and getting the shots they want.
Well, that was a shot they wanted, but Blanchard Hurd came up well short. He has been cold to begin the game. Niagara down 3 with a basketball.
So I still think that Blanchard Hurd has been one of the most underrated players and unheralded players. Blanchard Hurd leads the conference in field goal percentage shooting. A great putback guy. He's got great moves in the low post.
And just a shade under 60% of the year. Shot clock down to 10. Young with the up fake. Uses the bump off of Strong and knocks it down. 6 for Alvin Young. 8:25 to go first half. 19-18. Purple Eagles back within a point. Jason Rowe has come back into the game.
One of the areas that Alvin Young has really improved his game is his outside three-point shooting. Alvin Young is more of a scorer, I believe, than a shooter. And Jason Rowe could really do both. He could shoot and score.
Rowe's up to 11. He can feel it. Young tries to answer back.
Not a good
way
shot.
off the
That's
mark.
not a good shot by Alvin Young. Rushed it now. Niagara wants to push the tempo, but they also have to make sure, conversely, that they take good shots.
Timeout on the floor with 7:59 remaining first half. 22-18 Loyola. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. 22-18 Loyola leads Niagara in the second men's quarterfinal. Little MC Hammer over the PA system, and Glenn Consor getting into it.
I was doing some moonwalking there. You know, sometimes when you pay too close attention to the scouting reports, you get caught up and you miss out on what's happening in the games. Right now, Niagara is not doing a good job of getting back in the transition game, and they're going to have to make that adjustment. Turnovers, though, from Loyola's standpoint, Doug, are going to be critical. They're going to have to take care of the basketball, attack the pressure like Dino Gaudio wants them to do. Don't be hesitant. You cannot go east to west when you play Niagara. You got to go north to south, push the ball up the court with quick vertical passing.
Under 7.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Greyhounds with the basketball on top by 2. Alvin Young with another steal. Dekes Jason Rowe, but Rowe winds up with a rebound.
How about the block by Ryan Blosser? Wow. Yes. Timed it perfectly.
Rowe is turning this one into a street game.
Jason Rowe just threw that one off the ceiling. It banked in off the backboard, shot clock. Hey, this is great. We got a good, put your seatbelts on, folks.
Buckle up, folks. We have seen Niagara go over the 100-point barrier on many occasions this year. They love to run and gun.
Now, from a tempo standpoint, Loyola's going to have to make sure that they don't want to play this game in the 90s and the 100s, because Dino Gaudio feels this game needs to be played against Niagara somewhere in the 70s. He doesn't have the ammunition in the way of bench play to keep up this pace.
Well, it was Loyola's tempo for the first 12 minutes, but the last couple has been Niagara.
Ball goes inside, and Edwards comes in, and little karate chop foul. Terry Edwards, though, defensively and offensively for Niagara, really has gotten better this year. A little later on in the tournament, we're going to take a look at my most improved team, and although Terry Edwards was not eligible for that because he didn't play last year, he really has improved tremendously during the course of this year. He's taking better shots. He's playing that power forward position, but he's really a small forward.
Anytime you've got a junior college kid coming into a Division I program, especially into a league as good as the MAAC, it takes time. Johnson on the baseline. A little short on the jump shot. Roderick Platt the rebound.
Platt did a great job of getting Edwards on his back. He didn't just watch the ball, but he watched where Edwards was, and he just rode him out of bounds. Great job defensive rebounding by the big fella.
We talked about the way Niagara loves to shoot and score and run and gun. Here comes Jeremiah Johnson. They scored 119 points in a game against Marist here at the Marine Midland Arena back in January. Darrell Green misses from the baseline. Blanchard Hurd works the ball into the front court. Under 6 minutes to go in the first half. Another unforced turnover against the Greyhounds. Purple Eagles get it back.
Loyola is not a great passing team. A lot of their turnovers come not just off the dribble, but just in the passing game, and they're just going to have to make sure that the players moving without the ball are in their spots and that they make eye contact with each other. That's been an issue for this Loyola team.
Luke Dobrich is in the game, and that's him spotting up for 3. He can bring some instant offense, loves to shoot the 3, but he misses his first. Rowe again tries to needle a pass through there, and he can't do it. Johnson behind the back. Ryan Blosser commits the foul again, coming back to help out after a Jason Rowe turnover.
See, Jeremiah Johnson's going to have to slow his game up just a little bit because Niagara had numbers on that break. And all he had to do was slow down a little bit by the foul line. He just takes it to him. He just pushes the issue. And on the right side, there were around 2 or 3 players. Perworker was open. Edwards was wide open. It was a 3-on-2 break. He did get fouled and bumped, but I think they could have converted a basket.
Another foul by Blosser, and this time Johnson will go to the line to shoot 2.
See, he's so quick, Johnson, that he sometimes feels that he could do so much on the floor, but sometimes as a point guard, you want to make sure that the other players around you are getting involved in the offense. Here Johnson gets into the gap, Blosser with the bump, and he draws the foul.
Jeremiah Johnson, who could be on that all-improved team that you got coming up later.
Well, we'll see. We're going to throw the carrot out there a little bit.
Certainly qualifies if my vote means anything. He has really come on. Wound up being a second-team All-MAAC performer this year. Had 26 in the regular season finale at Loyola, along with 9 assists. That was just over a week ago. And, boy, you know, heading into your senior year, it's hard to imagine that Jeremiah Johnson, although the tempo and style of the Purple Eagles this year has been more in tune with the way he likes to play, and he's blossomed, but he really has gotten much better.
I think it meant a lot to him when Joe Michalek called him in and said, look, I'm going to give you some free reign, and I think it made him feel good and confident with a first-year coach telling him that. A lot of times first-year coaches come in and say, look, you're going to do it my way or the highway. Joe Michalek didn't do that.
Purple Eagles get it back after another Greyhounds turnover, their 9th. There you see the stat, and now Niagara with a chance to take the lead. Edwards for 3. And the top seeds from Niagara are on top. 27-25, 4:45 to go, first half. Edwards with his first field goal. Nice pass inside for Hurd. Double team, though, and he has to bring it out. Nice job by Blanchard not to force
Joe
it out.
Michalek, they wanted a double dribble by Hurd under the basket.
What'd you think? From here, it looked like he was just gathering it in to begin with.
Tough angle, I think, from where we were sitting, but from where Joe Michalek was sitting, he thought it was a double dribble. There's Jeremiah Johnson once again stepping into passing lanes.
Carroll the foul, count the basket, and Jeremiah's pumped.
Oh, he's having a good time. Did a great job of feeling Carroll and protecting the basketball with his body, enabling him to finish. See, he feels Carroll on his left shoulder right now, and he's protecting the ball as he goes up. See Carroll on his right side? Watch where he keeps the ball. Carroll goes left shoulder. He puts the ball on the right side of his body, feels the contact, able to finish. Terrific job.
And these Purple Eagles, Young and Johnson, love to force the turnovers. Apparently had a technical foul. Johnson hits the free throw. Jack, what have you got?
Doug, in the first 2 games Loyola and Niagara played, 38 turnovers by Loyola. They already have 9 today. And Niagara, when they get turnovers, they really convert on the other end. They're dangerous in that situation.
That's true, Jack. We've seen the Purple Eagles all year long run teams out of the gym. And quite often it starts with the defense and forcing turnovers. Now Johnson hits on the technical, and it'll be Niagara's basketball. And mark this down, Niagara all of a sudden has a 6-point lead. It's a 9-0 run over the last 2:13. And Johnson right in the middle of it, he's got 15.
Dino Gordio picking up the technical foul, and anytime you pick up a technical foul like that, the momentum changes.
Nice spin by Hurd, recovery by Strobel, but he fouls him. And so Hurd will go to the line.
I like how Loyola is attacking the gap of the zone with Hurd, and they're throwing it in quick to Hurd. Bernowski can't get there. I'm sorry, Strobel can't get there quick enough. He just doesn't move his feet as you see Hurd go right by him. Edwards there on the weak side defense, but he got bumped with the body by Strobel.
That's the 3rd on Strobel as Hurd hits the free throw. You know what, Glenn? It's been a quiet half, and although he's not in the game now, Roderick Platt, we've seen games and halves where he's very active and looks like the best low-post offensive player in the conference, but this has not been one of those halves. They'll need him to step up before the end of the game.
They certainly are. They're going to need Platt's ability to offensive rebound, and they're also going to need his defensive presence, but when the game becomes a track meet like this, I really believe that Dino Gordio has to go with a smaller lineup, which is what he's doing right now. Right now, Carroll is playing that 5 spot. And he can get up and down.
Edwards. Rebound Hurd. Here comes Jason Rowe. Nice look inside. Carroll slams it home, and the foul against Alvin Young.
Doug, good ball movement creates openings not only in a half-court game but also in the transition game. Jason Young did a great job of swinging the basketball from one side of the floor to the other, and that opened up the inside for Carroll, and Alvin Young just couldn't rotate quick enough because the ball was moving faster than his feet. It's just that simple.
First foul on Alvin Young, and the 7th against Niagara, as Brian Carroll tries to complete a 3-point play. Sophomore out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Matter of fact, in the earlier game when he was sitting in the stands wearing a Pittsburgh Pirates cap. And he completes that 3-point play, and it's back to a 2-point difference. Niagara 31-29 leaders. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. This success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world.
Here's a look at a summary of this season's Chase MAAC Rookie of the Week. And Jermaine Clark of Fairfield won it 5 times, and it stands to reason he goes on and wins Rookie of the Year. About 16 points a game all year long, very consistent with his point totals. And he winds up our Chase MAAC Rookie of the Year for the season 1998-99. Unfortunately for the Stags, they were knocked out yesterday, so we won't get a chance to see him this weekend.
Loyola is now playing a box and one on Alvin Young. That's when 4 guys play a zone and 1 guy plays a man-to-man. That 1 guy defensively now is Clifford Strong. See him back off.
Alvin Young took a look at the shot clock and saw it was 10, and he fired it up.
That's exactly what Dino Gaudio wants. Take a step off, force Alvin Young to beat you from long range. Then when he steps in, playing man-to-man principles.
Baseline jumper just inside the 3-point line. And Strong has himself 4 points.
Look at Strong playing on your left side of your screen. Man-to-man principles. Face guarding Alvin Young. Everybody else on Loyola playing a zone. You got Platt in the game now with Carroll going with the big lineup.
Well, it's worked pretty well. They've kept Young in check with only 6 points. Edwards short. Rowe the rebound. Now Loyola's committed the 11 turnovers. Purple Eagles have turned that into 14 points. Nonetheless, we're tied at 31. Rod Platt kicks it back out to Walker. 2:30 left to go in the first half. Rowe entry pass. Strong. Fouled on the shot. He'll go back to the line for 2.
Nice job by Strong, although I thought he should have kicked it out. You have to start to feel the double teams when you're a low post player. The ball was kicked in. Jason Rowe was standing outside the 3-point line. Watch how the ball goes inside, and watch how Johnson leaves Jason Rowe. See how he leaves him? You want to kick it back out. You got a 3-point shot wide open. But he goes to the line, he gets fouled, does a nice job.
Darrell Green checks back in. And Luke Dobrich goes out.
Darrell Green out of DeMatha High School, played for Morgan Wooten. Tremendous tradition, the all-time winningest high school coach. And he's one of these guys that's also unheralded. We talked about some of the top freshmen in this conference. He's one of these guys, Darrell Green, as Johnson hits the J, that just makes good basketball decisions. Not real flashy, just gets it done.
17 points now for Johnson. And another turnover. Goes back to the Purple Eagles. Brent Mack is in the game defensively. Jason Rowe on the bench. Jason Rowe has been about the only consistent offensive threat here in the first half for Loyola, while Johnson just keeps firing them in. That's 20 here in the first half for Johnson. Comparable to what we saw in the second half of our first game by Jamar Hunter of St. Peter's.
This also was somewhat of a nightmare on Elm Street for Dino Gaudio, as Jeremiah Johnson was making those outside shots when Niagara played Loyola Maryland 2 weeks ago. He's got some great rhythm in his shot, and Johnson just squaring up, but the defense has to be there earlier. There's no question about it. Niagara now starting to move the ball around the perimeter quickly, and you could sense that their depth is becoming an issue for Dino Gaudio. When you can come off the bench with guys like Darrell Green, Bernovsky, Dobrich, Akbar Waheed, Alvin Young looks like he got hit in the eye as he is tended to on the sidelines.
They've got 1:37 left to go in the first half. Loyola back within 2, 37-35 Niagara. Brian Carroll's got 7 points now. Johnson fouled on his penetration.
Right now, Loyola has gotten out of the zone and going back to man, and Jeremiah Johnson causes a big-time problem for MAAC defensively, and they're just isolating Jeremiah Johnson as he picks up the foul off the penetration.
He was the MAAC Player of the Week back in the first week of December this season. And having another one of those games. And again, he's only a 25% three-point shooter. Not a great shooter, but confidence and rhythm will take you a long ways.
Yeah, he's one of these guys that, and he admits it, he just has been inconsistent in his career, but when he's on fire, there's not too many guards in this guard-laden league that can play with Jeremiah Johnson. He just has to make those good basketball decisions, Doug, which he's done this game.
Ryan Blosser back to Carroll. Johnson has scored the last 12 Niagara points, and he's picking up the slack while Alvin Young is on the bench. As we saw getting his eye checked out, I look over at the bench right now, and Alvin still has that right eye of his closed. Looks like he's in discomfort.
With Jason Rowe out of the game, Niagara playing that soft 2-3 zone.
Blosser the three. Rebound stripped away. Green took it from Hurd. Here come the Purple Eagles, 3-on-2. Waheed, blocking foul. Looked like he may have taken an extra step, but the foul goes against the Greyhounds.
Once again, though, Darryl Green doing all the intangibles for Joe Mihalik. Picking up the loose ball, pushing the ball up the floor. Nice distribution. Let's see if Waheed takes the extra step. Tough one. Gets fouled. Block certainly was there. Was no offensive charge as Waheed goes strong to the hoop. Misses the first one, Doug.
Akbar Waheed at 71% from the foul line this year. 6'3" senior from Washington, D.C.
Talked about Darryl Green's high school coach being Morgan Wooten, while Akbar Waheed played for Dick Myers at Gonzaga, another tremendous high school, putting out a bunch of players.
Cross court, little high for Carroll. Did he go over and back? The officials say no. He certainly did go from the front court to the back court. It just was a matter of whether he had possession before he went front court to back court.
Well, Joe Mihalik wanted a backcourt call, but the official thought it was tipped by a Niagara player, in which it would not have been the case.
Timeout called by Niagara with 33 and 6/10 seconds left to go in the first half. Niagara 40, Loyola 35. And Joe Mihalik won a very good race for MAAC Coach of the Year this season. First year as a head coach, and he certainly learned his lessons from Speedy Morris and company at LaSalle.
Yeah, you could really, though, make a case in the way of Coach of the Year. Joe Mihalik clearly deserving the honor, just doing a tremendous job, but you can make a case for Paul Hewitt. You can make a case for Roger Blind, who's predicted to be that St. Peter's team down on the bottom this year, and also Mike McDonald as well.
Well, you can find out more about MAAC basketball. Go online and check out the conference website at www.maac.org. It's updated regularly and provides current information about your favorite MAAC teams and players. You think they're talking about the website?
Absolutely, no question about it.
All right. Well, when you're surfing on the net, also you can go to MazdaUSA.com to find out all the latest on Mazda cars and trucks. Closing seconds of the first half here at the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. Our second men's quarterfinal of the MAAC tournament. And the top seeds from Niagara trying to hold off the Greyhounds. Alvin Young back into the game despite the eye injury. Now let's see if Johnson's the one to go one-on-one. 5 seconds. The pull-up. Edwards keeps it alive, and the horn blows before Bernowski could get the shot off. And a solid first half of basketball. Tempo later in the half kind of went toward Niagara, and the Purple Eagles have their 5-point lead.
Yeah, I think the run was the difference. That one run with 5 minutes to go in the first half, I think, hurt Dino Gaudio's team. Niagara pushed the ball up the floor. Got some easy baskets, but I got to tell you, Loyola staying in this game with some good push in transition from them.
They're going to have to figure out a way, though, to slow down Jeremiah Johnson. He's got 22 points at the break. We'll come back to Buffalo with Niagara on top by 5 on the MAAC Television Network. The top-seeded Purple Eagles of Niagara have a 5-point halftime lead over the Greyhounds of Loyola. And at this time, we send it over to Jack Armstrong, standing by with Joe Mihalik. Jack?
Thanks, Doug. Joe, your squad did a great job in the first half converting off of turnovers off your pressure defense and your half-court D.
Yeah, I think we said going into the game that we want our defense to create some offense for us. We struggle. I don't think our balance has been good. Jeremiah's been good making some shots, but we're not scoring near the basket. And thankfully, as you said, our defense has created some points for us.
Talk about your half-court execution for getting Jeremiah some great shots in the first half.
Well, I think they tried to do some things with Alvin, kept him from getting the ball, whether it's a boxing one or whatever. But everybody's going to try to box him, so we try to work on it. Bottom line, as you know, is making some shots, and Jeremiah made some shots.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck in the second half.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Jack. And Joe Mihalik, thank you for stopping by on his way into the locker room. But a nice run led by Jeremiah Johnson in the later stages of that first half.
Yeah, I think the fact that Jeremiah Johnson's been proactive with the basketball, really capitalizing on some of the turnovers. I think the turnovers really hurt Loyola during that stretch. Jeremiah Johnson was able to push the ball up the floor, get some easy baskets. I really think Loyola has to establish, though, an inside game. Defensively, though, Loyola has done a nice job against Alvin Young. Clifford Strong on the box and one has done a fine job defensively. Loyola is clearly not out of this game.
Right, you touched on it. You need to establish an inside offensive presence. Hurd has had a rough start shooting the ball. He's gotten some shots, but Roderick Platt hasn't even gotten shots.
No, Hurd's gotten looks, but I think Platt has to be the guy playing that double low post offense to score. If Platt has the ball, they got to expect Hurd to offensive rebound and vice versa, and they're not doing that right now. I also believe that Loyola has to do a better job with their defense. We heard Joe Mihalik say we have to get opportunities off the defense. Loyola has to do that as well.
If you're Mihalik, are you concerned that Alvin Young has only 6 points at the intermission?
No, but because I think Niagara has proven that they could win without Alvin Young scoring 30 points a game. Guys like Jeremiah Johnson and the bench have been big-time contributors for Niagara, so I think that it might not be a big issue as it sounds.
Okay, when we come back, we'll take a look at the statistics. We've got highlights. We've got much more coming up from the Marine Midland Arena. We're at the half. 5-point Niagara lead on the MAAC television network.
Distinguish yourself at Manhattan College, ranked among the top Northeastern colleges and universities by U.S. News and World Report. Join our caring campus community in Riverdale, New York, where the student-to-professor ratio is 15-1. Be part of an impressive group of Manhattan College alumni, ranked third in the nation in corporate leadership. Whether your goal is business, arts, education, engineering, or science, we'll help you show the world what makes you unique. Call 1-800-MC2-EXCEL.
Welcome back to the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. We're at the half of our second men's quarterfinal with Niagara leading Loyola 40-35. As we talk, the Fairfield Stags were unfortunately knocked out of the tournament yesterday, but that doesn't mean that their head coach, Tim O'Toole, isn't one of the most intense in the league. Here's a look at Tim O'Toole.
If you know yourself and you know the enemy, you fear not the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but you do not know the enemy, for every victory received, you'll also suffer defeat.
Do you think he's crazy? Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. No doubt about it. Most craziest person and energetic person that you'll ever meet.
I'm sure you've probably seen coaches yell before, but how many coaches have a picture of General Patton in their office and quote scriptures from a book called The Art of War?
It's not just one book, The Art of War. It's got a lot of books. You know, a lot of quotes from generals from the past. He's a big fan of Napoleon. Right. Nah, I think he's beyond crazy.
He's beyond crazy?
Yeah, a little mentally insane.
Luckily, we interviewed him before practice, because I'm scared to talk to him now.
I don't know if you've ever seen him, a game of him. His suit is sweating. Yeah. I mean, he ruins ties, silk ties.
Do you see yourself as intense?
No, I think I'm more mild, and I'm very laid back in my approach, and I very rarely sweat. Except for when I'm in these games, and I don't know what it is. Maybe I drink too much coffee that day.
His coaching style may seem a bit extreme, but this is a guy that was an assistant for Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, so he knows what he's doing.
When I think about Coach K and working for Coach K, this was every day. He was teaching you about leadership. A lot of things we do, almost 95% of them, or actually probably 90% are from Duke.
Tim O'Toole, of course, off to a great start this year.
So while his players may still think he's crazy, they wouldn't want him to be any other way.
It's good in a way, because all the stuff the knowledge that he brings to us, you know what I'm saying, it filters out on the court.
Reporting from Fairfield, I'm Dan Taney.
And we are back in Buffalo, and you may see Alvin Young there on the Jumbotron. They're showing a story on the MAAC Player of the Year. We'll have that coming up later on in our MAAC coverage. We are at the half. Niagara on top, 40-35. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this.
Marist is a small liberal arts college with a national reputation for excellence in teaching. State-of-the-art technology at Marist helps students prepare for graduate school or business. Marist received the Cause Award as one of the top 4 colleges in the use of technology in and out of the classroom, along with Cornell, Stanford, and Duquesne universities. Marist's 150-acre riverfront campus is in the heart of the historic Hudson River Valley, 75 miles from New York City. To find out more about Marist, call 1-800-436-5483.
Back at the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo, the sort of hometown Niagara Purple Eagles leading 40-35 at the intermission over the Loyola Greyhounds. And Niagara does play a few home games during the regular season here at the arena, but they seem pretty comfortable, particularly Jeremiah Johnson as he knocked down shot after shot and helped the Purple Eagles almost single-handedly to the 5-point lead.
Well, Jeremiah Johnson's really doing it with his defense. I think he's been able to capitalize on some of the Loyola turnovers, and I think that's been the difference, enabling Niagara to really extend that lead a little bit. It's been done on the defensive end.
Well, we talked about the Greyhounds' desperate need for inside offense, and as we take a look at our first-half highlights, Rod Platt, this was his only basket.
Yeah, Rod Platt really needs to establish himself inside. One of the early highlights of the game was really getting the ball inside to Platt by hitting the offensive rebounds. Rowe trying a circus shot, but it's really been the Jason Rowe show. We talked about Jeremiah Johnson. That's a little rainbow shot off the kiss in the glass. But Clifford Strong's ability and Brian Carroll's ability to finish inside off the penetration have been a big deal for Loyola. But the defense from Niagara has been able to get them on some of these runs. You've seen Alvin Young and Jeremiah Johnson stepping in the passing lane, and Jeremiah Johnson just doesn't do it with defense. He could also nail that three-point shot.
And Johnson was 7 for 12 shooting for his 22 points. We see the first-half statistics brought to you by Citizens Communications. And shooting percentage-wise, nothing too terrible, but the big stat for me is Niagara turned the ball over only 3 times.
And that really has been a big deal. And the turnovers, conversely, from Loyola's standpoint, Dino Gaudio really told this team we have to take care of the basketball. We have to make efficient and good passes, not only running a half-court offense, but especially in the transition game, because you know Niagara's going to look to speed them up.
Okay, when we come back, we'll have the start of the second half of the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. Niagara with a 40-35 lead. The top seeds trying to hang on the MAAC Television Network.
Cardinal rule, even from Alvin Young's standpoint, you don't want to leave your feet. I think he got caught in the air, and no one really came to help him. Just hung Alvin Young out to dry there. But you want to keep your dribble. Maurice Cheeks used to do that so well in the NBA. Just take that extra dribble, wait for someone to get open.
Pawerka hits after missing the three-point shot in the first half. Perfect swish here to begin the second. 43-37.
Well, it's obvious, Doug, that Dino Gaudio at halftime said the first option in our offense has to be Rod Platt, as Loyola came down 2 consecutive times offensively and went right down to Platt.
Rowe, Carroll, Walker, Hurd, and Platt, the starting 5 once again for Loyola. Nice drop pass, Platt, and he slams it home. So that's 3 straight possessions, and the big fella slams it down. 4 points for Rod Platt. The leading scorer for Loyola, Jason Rowe, has 13 points. Brian Carroll's got 7. Hurd and Platt 4 apiece. Clifford Strong's got 6. Anthony Walker has 5. Jeremiah Johnson, meanwhile, misfires. He's the leading scorer in the game with 22. Alvin Young has 6. Pawerka 5. 3 apiece for Amponsa, Edwards, and Bernowski. Walker connects.
He could really shoot it, Doug. He's been such a terrific addition. Started out the season with a broken hand, came back strong. Dino Gaudio inserting him into the starting lineup, and it takes a lot of the pressure off of Jason Rowe when Walker's making those outside shots.
Well, he won 2 of the last 3 Rookie of the Week awards to close out the regular season. Now Pawerka throws an air ball. Just under 2 minutes gone here in the second half. 43-42, Niagara by a point. Loyola back with the ball and a chance to retake the lead. We have had 3 ties and 7 lead changes in a relatively close game. Walker, tough three-pointer with a hand in his face. Rowe timed the steal perfectly, winds up into the second row of the press table. Make sure everybody's okay. Didn't come up with the steal, though, and Jason helping to clean up a little bit. He does it all, the kid from Buffalo. Comes home and cleans up the house.
Anthony Walker and Pawerka have to be careful. You know, sometimes, Doug, you get a little bit too much shooting confidence. You make one, you come back down, jack it up quickly. Got to show some patience.
Good defense by Hurd, and he gets the defensive rebound. Rowe pulls up. Can't get it to fall. Niagara back the other way. Alvin Young.
Oh, I love that little stutter step. Change of pace move that he's got. He's so explosive.
(45-42) Niagara. Rowe frees himself with misfires. Here comes Johnson. 3-on-1. And Ponce had it stripped away, but right to Alvin Young.
And Niagara caught a break there because that run in the transition game, they were too tight. Two guys were able to play three, but they caught a break on the offensive rebound.
Carroll inside to Hurd, and he'll go to the line to shoot two. Blanchard, the look on his face.
Well, he's a little frustrated with himself because I think on that segment, Blanchard Hurd was waiting for the contact and looking for the foul before he shot the ball. Nice dish inside. Carroll's an excellent passer. Watch how he goes up. He feels the pressure, then throws it up. If he would have went up with two hands on Ponce on that play, using the rim as a shield, I think he could have finished.
First foul on Ponce. Hurd's only 2 for 5 from the line so far here today. A 56% foul shooter. Strobel in, Strong in, Pawerka out, and Ponce out. Nate Bernowski has also come back in for Niagara. And Roderick Platt's on the bench. Hurd missed them both. Edwards the rebound for Niagara. 16:25 to go in the second. Nate Bernowski shoots an air ball. It was all net, but it was an air ball. You want to hit the inside of the net, not the outside of the net.
Tough thing to do, come off the bench and then just jack up a three-point shot. Dino Gaudio right now has to make sure that defensively they don't allow Niagara to push the ball up the floor and don't let Alvin Young get going this game. They've really done a nice job containing him, but he could really be explosive. You don't want to let him get some confidence and get the rhythm back in his game.
Well, that foul on Edwards was his third, the second against Niagara here in the second half. Jason Rowe, the lob to Hurd, and he lays it in. We talked last weekend, Glenn, about the loss of ups that Blanchard Hurd has had because of the knee injuries. But instead of slamming it down, he catches it, doesn't come back down with it, lays it in softly, just as effective, and maybe that's what'll get him going. Meanwhile, Edwards knocks down the three. Rowe dribbles through trouble, into the paint. Walker for three. In and out. Blanchard Hurd the rebound. Blocked by Bernowski, and Blanchard Hurd will go back to the line.
Loyola Maryland is getting looks. They're getting good shots at the basket. Walker just couldn't nail it. Jason Rowe did a great job of drawing the defense. Look at that wide open shot by Walker, and the offensive rebounds by guys like Hurd, Carroll, and Platt are keeping Loyola in this game right now. Just couldn't finish.
Fourth foul on Strobel. He stays in the game as Hurd goes back to the line.
So many players, when they offensive rebound and they're in that tight, try to go right at the rim with the little two-footer. I think you go off the backboard. I think when you use the backboard, it just gives you a little bit more leverage.
Strong the offensive board. Strong the offensive board. Bernowski the defensive board. 15-15 left to go in the second. Rowe the steal. Jason Rowe the crossover. The lefty lay.
Oh, that's a big-time play by Rowe. Second in the nation in steals, stepping in the passing lane, and just a great job of pushing the offense and pushing it up to the court right in Jeremiah Johnson's chest.
But that's what Alvin Young has been doing all year long. The MAAC Player of the Year responds. 13 points now for Alvin Young. Walker, cross-court pass, bad pass. Edwards stole it. Here's Jeremiah Johnson. Behind the back to his strong side, and he lays it in lefty.
And Jeremiah Johnson making a statement back to Rowe once again. You're going to take me like that, it's coming right back at you.
I think he had something to say for one of the local newspaper writers who perhaps hadn't written complimentary things about him. But Jeremiah Johnson's the difference here today, 24 points. And we've got a time called on the floor, 55-47 Niagara.
See, Niagara's so tough defensively that you can't throw turnovers because guys like Alvin Young and Darryl Green and Jeremiah Johnson really know how to push the ball up the floor and convert and capitalize on those turnovers.
Fans, the inaugural MAAC Hockey League Championship hits the ice March 19th and 20th at Holy Cross's Heart Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. All session passes are affordably priced at $10 each. For more information, call 508-793-2573. Mr. Jack Armstrong, what have you got?
Thanks, Doug. Yeah, give the Niagara front line a lot of credit. That front line without Kevin Jobity, they bend, but they don't break. Loyola's had tons of chances in there, but has not been able to cash in because of the athleticism around the basket.
Thank you, Jack. We talked about Nate Bernowski filling in a lot of the minutes underneath, and he's undersized, and there he comes up with another steal. One of the real hard-nosed players in the league. Young gets the foul, counts the basket.
So that's Alvin Young's game. He's got the innate ability to make those circus-like shots when his body's not squared. We saw him at the end of a game this year just nail a shot. I think it was against Marist. Off balance. He's got the good upper body strength. He's very strong. He's got wiry strong, able to finish. His body was contorted. And there's Alvin.
Well, he scored 33 in the regular season finale against Loyola down in Baltimore on February 20th. Scored a career-high 44 against Siena. Scored 34 against St. Peter's. Scored 33 against Marist. 31 against Siena. On and on and on. The top scorer in the country has given Niagara an 11-point lead. Alvin Young and the Purple Eagles on the MAAC Television Network. Back in Buffalo, and we take a look at the summary of this season's Chase MAAC Players of the Week. In the MAAC Player of the Year, Alvin Young won it 3 times, and Marcus Faison of Siena coming up this evening won it twice. 13 other players in a very evenly distributed award this year, honored as Chase MAAC Players of the Week, brought to you by Chase Manhattan Bank. The right relationship is everything.
The thing about Alvin Young's game is he plays with so much passion and emotion. And that's really what has put him over the top this year with his game. He's improved his overall game with his outside shooting and his ability to draw fouls and his defense.
And now that he's involved in the offense, Glenn, Niagara's opened up its largest lead of the game at 11. Brian Blosser drills the three-pointer. He's capable of bringing some three-point offense off the bench. His first points of the night, 58-50. I should say of the afternoon, still only 3:45.
Well, one way to creep back in this game is exchanging threes for twos, and Blosser can make that shot, and Jason Rowe can make the three, but they need some stops.
Well, Niagara shooting very well in the second half. Offensive foul against Young.
Great job by Platt. Not normally a shot blocker, but he can play that position defense on the weak side. He steps in, establishes position. Great job by Platt from the weak side. Good help.
And that's the third personal foul against Alvin Young with 13 minutes left to go in regulation. Worker commits the foul.
You know, it's so important to have a big guy that can come up and step in and take charges. One of the top teams, one of the top teams in the country, and if not the, is Duke. One of the reasons Duke is such a great team is they got guys like Shane Battier, 6'9". He's taking a charge in every game this year. And he helps out the guards. Steps in and takes charges. That's what Platt just did.
Strong the free throw, and Joe Mihalik pleading from the Niagara bench, saying it was not him or it was a non-shooting foul. He didn't think Strong should be at the line. Hurd goes out.
Well, he didn't think Strong was shooting that ball when he goes to the line for two. He thought it was before the shot went up. but he gets 2 nonetheless.
And he swishes them both. 58-52. The Greyhounds back within 6. Akbar Wahid has come back into the lineup for Niagara. Darrell Green kicks to Pawerka. Luke Dobrich back to Bernowski. Darrell Green. 4 reserve players out there for Niagara, along with the starting center, Pawerka. Wahid for 3. Pawerka went after it. Bernowski is the one who wound up carrying it out of bounds. But it's Niagara ball. Somehow Bernowski wound up getting possession. Apparently hit off of Carroll's leg and hit out of bounds before Bernowski was the one chasing after it and touched it.
Yeah, Bernowski pulled up, as you see Wahid take a seat right before he went out of bounds and went off of Carroll.
Jeremiah Johnson has come back in. Rowe almost got a steal.
And Niagara going with the 3-guard offense of Darrell Green, Johnson, and Dobrich.
Pawerka.
Small lineup on the floor for Niagara.
Working some time off the clock. Johnson the up fake to go around Carroll, and the finger roll, no good. Jason Rowe strong for the defensive rebound. Rowe feeling it. Behind the back crossover into the paint, and he'll go to the line. 2-shoot-2 blocking foul against Luke Dobrich.
Jason Rowe came down that time and said, all right, let me see how many guys I could shake on one play. He shook Dobrich, then he shook Johnson, and then he went in. See, Dobrich reached, then he shook Johnson and went around him. Dobrich tried to take the foul. That might have been a tough call. That's a tough call to make right there. Watch him shake Johnson. Dobrich steps in. No, he moved. That was a good call. He moved. He slid in right at the last second. Wasn't in the right position to take it.
Jason Rowe now with some solid numbers putting him up. Alvin Young back in. Dobrich goes out, as does Nate Bernowski. Terry Edwards has come back in for the Purple Eagles. Edwards to Johnson. The Niagara Purple Eagles are the top seed in the 1999 MAAC basketball tournament here in Buffalo, trying to advance to the semifinals. Holding foul against Jason Rowe. Young was trying to post him up, so the 2 top scorers in the MAAC were banging, and Rowe picks up the personal. Time out on the floor with 11:29 left to go in the second. Niagara by 5 on the MAAC Television Network. Back in Buffalo, GMAC salutes Mike Mullaney as the GMAC Pontiac Dealer of the Day. Hudson Pontiac GMC is the place to find great deals on a variety of Pontiac vehicles that qualified customers can finance or smart lease with GMAC. They're located at 752 South Road in Poughkeepsie, New York. For more information, call 914-298-4700. Or for more information on other great GM offers, call GMAC at 1-800-32-SMART. Speaking of smart, let's go over to Jack Armstrong.
Well, Dino Gaudio feels real good about his team right now. They're only down 5 points. They're hanging tough right here. This is a huge stretch coming up between now and the 8-minute mark. This is the time of the game right now where you got to pick up your defensive intensity and execute the O.
Thank you, Jack. 11:29 left to go, second half. Niagara 58, Loyola 53. The winner will face St. Peter's in tomorrow afternoon's first semifinal. Jeremiah Johnson lost his footing and is called for the travel.
And Jeremiah Johnson might have twisted his foot on that play as he tried to stop. His foot came out, and he's really holding it and limping a little bit. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to stop and let it get tight. Turnovers really starting to hurt Loyola. They have to take care of the basketball. Niagara is such a quick team. They're one of these teams when the ball goes into the post, and Dino Gaudio knows this. You have to kick it out quick because the guards come in and double down, and that's where they're picking up a lot of their turnovers.
Carroll, Platt, Rowe, Strong, and Blosser on the floor for the Greyhounds in their traveling green uniforms. Up from Baltimore, Maryland for this MAAC basketball tournament. Carroll, nice shovel pass for the easy layup to Clifford Strong.
We talked about the one weakness in Niagara's team. It's defense in a half-court situation in the low post position.
And when you've got a 6'8" forward like Brian Carroll who can make a move like that, off the dribble, shovel pass, it makes it even that much tougher on the interior defense.
So one of the things about Terry Edwards, who's playing that big forward spot that hurts Niagara, is the fact that Terry Edwards is really a small forward. Carroll goes by Young against the zone. Paworka couldn't recover quick enough, and it's just a wide open shot. They're just attacking the gaps of the zone. There's a lot of different seams of that 2-3 zone. One is in between the guard and the forward. The other is going baseline.
Edwards will go to the line. Foul on Platt. Well, the Greyhounds, after being down 11, have rattled off 8 straight points to get back in it. 58-55. Loyola giving the #1 seeds from Niagara all it can handle.
Well, Terry Edwards is one of these guys that he kind of does what this team needs him to do. Good catch, good movement without the basketball, and picks up the foul. Edwards, very unheralded player for this Niagara team. A lot of fanfare went to Jeremiah Johnson, Alvin Young, Darrell Green doing a great job. But Terry Edwards, the junior college transfer, has been a tremendous, I think, a surprise for Joe Mihalik because his ability to be versatile, play defense, can make the three-point shot as well.
Give you 10 points a game. Had a career-high 20 in the big win over Siena. Blosser misses the 3. Alvin Young gets the rebound. Niagara trying to run. Young in one fell swoop takes a double jump, drop step, whatever it was, across the lane and winds up getting fouled by the Greyhounds.
We talked about transition defense being a factor. Jason Young trailing the play. Blosser did a nice job of getting back, but I think he kind of felt a little bit like lunch meat there when Alvin Young saw him on defense. You knew he was going to get taken. Not a bad foul by Blosser.
That's the 4th foul on Blosser. Walker comes in and Blosser will go out.
I really like Anthony Walker's game. I think it's just going to get better. Right now he has done a nice job as a shooter for Dino Gaudio, but I think his overall game is going to improve. Another pleasant surprise as a freshman. Joe Mihalik right now has to be a little concerned about tempo. Right now, Loyola is getting them into more of a half-court game. It's exactly what he does not want. Joe Mihalik wants to go up and down. He wants to get baskets off of his defense. He doesn't want to play this half-court, slow-paced style of game.
Now, like I said earlier, he scored 119 points in a game against Marist back in January. They've been up around the 100-point mark on more than one occasion. Lost in double overtime to St. Peter's back on January 30th, 106-103. So the Purple Eagles, as you say, Glenn, love to run and gun. Air ball long. Platt gets it.
Dangerous pass. Wow.
Clifford Strong drops it off to Platt. Nice catch, and he'll go to the line. Foul on Edwards.
Clifford Strong, Doug, is playing a great tournament. I mean, he is just come to play. He's getting offensive rebounds. He's drawing defense. He's making just big plays. Puts it on the floor, gets in the lane. Good catch, though, by Platt. Not an easy pass to catch coming from the left side. But look at all the attention Strong is bringing, leaving Platt wide open. Just couldn't finish. Just couldn't get his legs underneath himself.
Foul on Edwards, his 4th, and he will be replaced by Nate Bernowski. Yeah, I would say this is the best by far that we've seen of Clifford Strong. Seems like his game, confidence-wise, you know, he feels like he belongs now, perhaps.
Well, we talked about my most improved team when guys like Terry Edwards and Clifford Strong, those guys have improved a lot during the course of this year.
Roderick Platt now with 6 points. 60-57 Niagara. 9.5 to go in the second. We're at the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. Game 2 of our MAAC quarterfinals.
Alvin Young trying to post up Jason Young. There's the post up. There it is.
Oh, great seal by Young. The timing looked like on the green pass it would go out of bounds, and like he was shot out of a cannon, Alvin Young just went and got it. 18 for Alvin Young. Strong blocked and held by Pawerka. And on the alternate possession, defensively, it goes back the other way.
Alvin Young is trying to post up. Alvin Young's about 6'4". Jason Young's about 5'10". And it's a little wheel and seal. Now, watch Blanchard Hurd, number 42 on your screen. He's got to help out. Look how far away he is. Weak side defense not there. Nice dish inside.
And Rowe's got to be careful on the low post playing defense not to pick up his 4th foul.
And that's why they're going to try to isolate Rowe, and now Rowe's guarding Johnson. But on a mismatch like that, it was a good recognition by Niagara.
Green to Bernowski. Back out front, Johnson. Great job by Strong to come out and block it. Johnson took a little bit too much time. And the Greyhounds get it back, trailing by 5. 8.5 to go. Rowe lost the handle. Rod Platt goes down to the floor and gets it. Looking for help, and he calls a timeout.
Smart play by Rod. If he would have slid a little bit more, I think they would have called a travel on him, so he called a timeout.
Nice job by the big guy to get down on the floor. 6'10", 262 pounds. And Rod Platt.
Ball goes off of Jason Rowe, and Platt hits the floor. See, when you slide when you get the ball, normally it's a travel. He had nothing else but to call timeout. Smart play by the big boy.
Here's a look at the Citizens Communications long-distance shooter standings. And Jermaine Clark, the freshman from the Stags of Fairfield, 3 up on Alvin Young, takes the title. Last year's champ Scott Knapp finished in 3rd. Jason Rowe and Kevin Worley tied for 4th. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC, once again the proud sponsor of the MAAC long-distance shooter of the year. Jason Rowe, one of the top three-point shooters in the conference at 37%. And he's got the basketball now.
Niagara now extending their zone. Look at the guards playing outside the top of the key area. Great steal by Johnson. Quick hands.
Behind the back he goes. Drop it off, and Young missed the layup. That would have been the all-time highlight reel film for the MAAC tournament. Rowe misses at the other end. Here comes Pawerka.
We got numbers now.
Johnson gets the bounce pass from Young. Jeremiah Johnson lays it in. 26 for Jeremiah Johnson. 64-57. Rowe answers back, kissing it off the glass.
Looks like Bernowski really took a shot on that play, and he is down in the backcourt. And they're going to have to blow the whistle. Yeah, Bernowski just took a big-time shot in the face. I'm not sure if it's his nose or his eye. But as Rowe went up, he came down right on top of Bernowski's face.
Timeout on the floor. We'll take a break and come back to the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. Purple Eagles lead the Greyhounds by 5 on the MAAC Television Network. Back in Buffalo, Nate Bernowski has just walked off the court under his own power, but this is why he went down to the deck.
It looked like Platt hit him with an elbow. I don't think it was intentional. Platt just trying to establish position. Nailed him right in the jaw, and Bernowski, no question, saw stars about that. You're talking about a big elbow coming at you like that. Platt, 6'10", about 260, and
Jack, what do you hear about the injury?
Nate Bernowski be okay. He said he got his bell rung a little bit, but he should be okay. And having coached him for 3 years, he's a tough cookie. I think you'll see him back in there.
Thank you, Jack. But as we saw that tight-up look.
Glazed eyes.
Glazed eyes. He's got the watered-up eyes, and the trainer's right now checking his eyes to see if his pupils are functioning properly. 7:13 to go. 64-59, Niagara on top, trying to earn the right to face St. Peter's tomorrow in the semifinals of the MAAC tournament.
Well, with 7 minutes to go, let's do a little strategy check. 5-point lead. It's going to be important for Loyola to make sure they limit their turnovers now, make good passes, and get up and take three-point shots, but make good decisions. They don't need to rush. Still plenty of time, Doug. Sometimes when you're down, you tend to rush. Nice penetration that time. You got to finish.
Pawerka of the Strong rebound. Strong couldn't get the layup. Niagara with the basketball, under 7 minutes to play in regulation, 64-59.
That was a big play right there. Good pass. And we mentioned turnovers, Doug. Take a look at that. Loyola, 18 turnovers. And that's what I mean. Niagara's such an explosive team. They will capitalize on those turnovers. Niagara, 22 points off of the turnovers. That's been the difference. That's why now with 6:25 on the clock, you have to take care of the basketball.
Shot clock is gonna expire.
Good defense by Loyola. No one reaching.
Jeremiah Johnson got him into a tough spot, got himself into a tough spot. And so the Purple Eagles turn it over. Niagara had only 3 turnovers at the half. That's about as clean a half of basketball as you're ever going to see.
Loyola didn't really put that much pressure on it, but still, that's an incredible statistic.
Especially when you're trying to press the tempo. But they've got a senior backcourt in Johnson and Young, and that's the reason why they're the top seed in this tournament, or at least a big part of it. Rowe left his feet. Edwards played nice defense, and the Purple Eagles coming back the other way.
Another turnover.
Darryl Green, short. Ball goes out of bounds, and it'll stay down here at this end. Jack Armstrong, once again, let's send it over to you.
Well, Niagara's had a great year and a half in MAAC competition. They are 22-8, and since middle of last January, Iona's 23-8, and Siena 20-12. So they're in the elite right now in the league, but they're trying to break that jinx of losing that first-round tournament game last year to Loyola.
Well, so far, they've been doing all right. Niagara has been holding off Loyola most every time the Greyhounds make a run. Niagara's had an answer.
Yeah, they're making big shots. One of the things that Joe Mihalik told this team before this game is last year. Remember last year where Niagara beat Loyola twice, came to the tournament, Loyola pulled the upset and knocked them off. And he said, one of the things we're going to need to do is make sure our defense gets us possessions. And so far, he's doing it.
Terry Edwards having a solid game, 9 points, just about at a season average.
With the exception of Terry Edwards, Doug, everybody's been back on this team, and they really have not forgotten last year.
Rowe being ridden up the sideline by Jeremiah Johnson, who's called for the blocking foul. That's just the first on Johnson and the 8th against Niagara. Both teams with 18 fouls here in the second half. So over the limit, and Jason Rowe will get a 1-and-1.
Joe Mihalik is telling his team, let's put some pressure on Jason Rowe, try to turn him over, try to up-tempo this last 5 minutes and 41 seconds. Wear him down. This is where guys like Dobrich and Bernovsky, Darryl Green become an issue, Doug, because Loyola really is not deep. Dino Gaudio knows it. Loyola really only going 7 deep into the bench, where Niagara really can go 10-11.
Yeah, we haven't seen Damian Jennifer at all today. He spent a good portion of the early part of the season in the starting backcourt for Loyola.
Damian Jennifer's confidence is down right now. Only a freshman. Had a nice freshman year for Loyola, but come tournament time, you want guys that are confident, although I really believe that he could do some things defensively.
Meanwhile, we saw Apostolos Nasio and Brant Mack a little bit in the first half,
but
only for a blow.
Just a tad.
And other than that, you're right. The reason for the delay, Brian Carroll apparently perhaps had some blood and had to get it taped up. You can't be bleeding at all and playing college basketball, a rule dating back several years. And so while they were taping him, realized it was taking too long, and they brought Roderick Platt back in. So Rowe trying to complete the second of his 1-and-1. He does. He's got 20 points. And Loyola's back within 4. The Greyhounds are just hanging around. And also, quietly, Nate Bernosky has come back into the game. Seems to be no worse for the wear, but I don't have his headache, perhaps. A big shot he took a few minutes ago. 5.5 minutes left on the clock here in the second half.
So they're trying to post up Alvin Young now. As the ball is swung around, Alvin Young likes to run that baseline. There he is.
Strong got a piece of the Bernosky pass out of bounds. It'll be Niagara ball. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Carroll has come back in, and Strong goes out. Johnson lost the dribble, and then he grabbed a hold of the ankle. Great takedown on Jason Rowe. He's saying, give me an intentional. And he may have a point.
Jason Rowe.
What was he just saying
He just said he's not going to go for all that stuff. And he was about to go in, and he took his feet out from under him. He goes to the line for two, and
there's the trip.
Not a bad foul, though. Intentional foul, not a bad foul, though. It would have been a 2-point layup. Took the ankles out of Jason Rowe, and those ankles are explosive.
Rowe piling up the points once again. He's the only Greyhound with more than 10 points. Strong's also in double figures with 10, but Rowe now with 21. And what do you know? It's a 2-point game. The Greyhounds again hanging around.
Niagara a little stagnant, Doug, offensively now, because the game is that half-court tempo. They're not getting those easy baskets off the transition.
In a game like this, the team in front, especially being a home team, can get lulled into a false sense of security. Young gets it taken away by Rowe. Here's a chance to tie. Jason Rowe missed the leg, but a foul and a two-shot foul. Rowe seemed more concerned with the defense, looking for a little contact, maybe get a foul and one, and he didn't take care of business, laying it in.
Well, you really could see the athleticism of Bernofsky, who was able to just get some footsteps behind Jason Rowe, in which he hurt him. Rowe was not able to finish, but you had three trailers on that play. Walker and Platt were there for the offensive rebound, and Walker able to get fouled on that play, and hopefully Loyola will get something and convert. Dino Gaudio hanging around. Boy, this Loyola team is a tough team. Had a great game against Fairfield. Tim O'Toole's team, I thought, put up a great performance. Terrific game.
Niagara lost it out of bounds. Loyola in the midst of a 17-7 run to pull within a point. 65-64 Niagara.
This has been a game of runs. We saw Niagara in the first half pull away in about a 7 or 8 minute run. And now Loyola's back in a little drought offensively from Niagara's standpoint.
Pawerka's strong inside, but he's called for the foul. So Carroll will go to the foul line. Pawerka picks up 2 quick fouls here in the second half. He's got 3 now on the game.
Nice job by Carroll flashing to the open spot. Tough call. Pawerka got there on the weak side. Didn't look like much in the body, and it didn't look like much up top.
Carroll shooting now. That left hand is wrapped up. Remember, a couple of minutes ago he had to go out of the game, so he misfires on the first, but statistically not a great free throw shooter, as you see. Again, the Greyhounds trying to tie. And they do. 65 apiece. The top-seeded Niagara Purple Eagles being pushed to the limit here in the MAAC quarterfinals, and the hometown crowd in Western New York trying to urge the Purple Eagles on. Foul off the ball.
Platt going through the screen. Nailed Johnson. Now you're talking about 5'10", setting the screen on 6'9", 260.
I don't like the odds of the little guy.
No. Watch the screen from Johnson as Platt really tried to avoid him, and just the contact put Johnson down. And that's a nice play by Jeremiah Johnson, drawing that foul, going to the line for 2. Smart job.
Roderick Platt was the last to touch, so a tough sequence for Mr. Platt. Couldn't secure the defensive rebound, so Niagara gets it back. Tied at 65, 4:32 to go. The team that survives this game will meet St. Peter's tomorrow afternoon in the semifinals. St. Peter's earlier today knocked off Canisius in an upset, 80-72. Alvin Young knifing to the basket, and he'll go to the line.
Just so tough out top. See, when he has space to operate, he can get in the middle of the court, in the middle of the lane, and create and finish. Good spacing that time. You saw Jeremiah Johnson cut through, and that drew away the weak side defense, allowing for the one-on-one situation with Brian Carroll. Well executed play by Niagara.
Niagara back on top.
You look at Alvin Young this game, and he's got 19 points, and it really seems like he's been shut down, and it just shows what a prolific scorer he is. R.J. Wicks, when they played against Ryder, did a great job on Alvin Young, and the game ended. Alvin Young at 22 points.
Loyola with the basketball, trailing by 2. Jason Rowe into the corner. Walker, air ball. Ball bounces around and comes to Alvin Young. It's a 3-on-2 for Niagara. Young somehow able to come back with it.
Not a good pass. That one was.
Bernoski lays it in. Niagara by 4. Foul against Edwards.
Now Edwards has to be careful. Upset with the call. He's banging on the floor. He's got to make sure he doesn't pick up a technical foul here.
And that's his 5th foul, so Edwards is gone.
Edwards reaches in, and the official called him. I thought it was a good call. He stuck his left arm out, and there's the emotion by Edwards, but you got to be careful. That fouls him out, but still, you don't want to pick up any unnecessary technical fouls. You talk about a momentum changer. You pick up a technical foul on that play. Dangerous.
So Edwards sits. Purple Eagles with a moment to get a replacement in. Darrell Green will come into the game. In there with Young, Johnson, Pawerka, and Bernoski. Well, only 3 times in the last 9 years has the #1 seed in this tournament, Glenn, won the tournament and gone on to the NCAAs. It's a tough thing to be in this league, the top seed. Rowe missed the first. Loyola down by 4. Blosser back in.
And if you remember last year's tournament, everybody was kind of buzzing about that fact, and Iona did a great job, coached by Tim Welsh.
John McDonald and Donnell Mitchell played terrific, along with Kashif Hamid and the rest. Tariq Kirksey, and Iona was the champ last year. Who'll be the champ this year? Timeout on the floor in our second MAAC quarterfinal. Niagara leads 69-65 on the MAAC television network. This game is brought to you in part by Marine Midland Bank for all your financial needs. The Pepsi-Cola Company. GMAC, the GM College Grad Program, and your local Pontiac dealers. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Bob Stores, great buys on brands you wear. The New York Lottery Games, hey, you never know. Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. Mazda, get in, be moved. And by Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. Back in downtown Buffalo on a late afternoon in western New York. Niagara with a 3-point lead. They were late in getting that free throw from Jason Rowe up on the scoreboard, so it's a 3-point game. 69-66, Niagara the top seed, trying to hold off Loyola, the #9 seed. Let's send it over to Jack. As Darrell Green lays it in. Jack Armstrong, what have you got?
Niagara doing a good job against that zone defense. Boxer won that time. They're starting to spread them out. Dino Gaddio's done a great job changing his defenses. Niagara's starting to spread them out and get the penetration baskets.
Niagara 71, Loyola 66. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock. Rowe face guarded by Johnson. Blosser open from 20. Ryan Blosser, nothing but net. He's got 6 on a couple of 3-pointers, and it's back to a 2-point difference.
Well, with Blosser making those 3-point shots, that will enable guys like Rowe and Walker to penetrate off the bounce into the gaps.
Darrell Green screaming for the ball in the low post, but probably a good decision by Pawerka not to go down there. Young for 3. Strong position by Roderick Platt, fouled by Pawerka.
Platt's done a nice job in the second half of defensive rebounding, keeping guys like Pawerka and Bernoski off the blocks. Keep your eye on Rod Platt underneath the basket. The ball goes up. Platt doesn't just watch the ball, but he finds Pawerka first. Then he goes up and gets it. Nice job. Gets him on his back.
Good position by Rod Platt. He's rewarded at the other end after being fouled and will get free throws. Free throws so far in the game. Loyola only 21 for 31, while the Purple Eagles have taken care of business 16 for 20 at 80%. And Platt misfires. Rod a 65% free throw shooter. The Greyhounds have not led since late in the first half when it was 33-31. They were able to tie it a couple of minutes ago at 65 apiece, but they've not been able to get over the hump. It's a 1-point game, 71-70. 7 points for Rod Platt.
Niagara going into their motion offense, rubbing off of screens, and it's going to be important for the Loyola defense to communicate, switch when they need to.
Green rolls it in, and a quick timeout called by Niagara. Well, you talk about Young and Johnson, and it's the freshman Green stepping up, hitting a big three-pointer, 74-70. Timeout called by the Purple Eagles. It's a full timeout, so we'll step away from the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. 74-70 Niagara on the MAAC Television Network. This copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC properties. Doug Sherman, Glenn Consor back with you. The Loyola Greyhound cheerleaders have had a long day. They were here cheering at 9:30 this morning for the women's basketball team from Loyola. Here they are late this afternoon, but their Greyhounds are trailing Niagara 74-70 in the late stages. Equal time, Purple Eagle cheerleaders liking what they see. Jason Rowe with the basketball. He leads Loyola with 23 points. Guarded by Johnson, who's got 26. Alvin Young, meanwhile, has jumped up to 20 points, Glenn. Good second half for him.
Niagara now playing man-to-man, getting out of that zone. Jeremiah Johnson matching up with Jason Rowe.
Good job by Blosser to come to that pass. Shot clock winding down as Rowe misses. Foul on the rebound against Niagara. Strong continues to be active.
So active on the offensive glass with Platt on the bench now. You have Carroll, Hurd, and Strong, who has great instincts on the offensive glass. Jason Rowe, wide open, just couldn't finish. It seems like he needs a guy in his face to make shots, but Strong slips in. No one boxes him out. He goes up, as he goes up, gets hit by Pawerka, and that's his fifth foul. Now he's out of the game, so you got two big guys now on the bench.
And Strong to the line. And he's shooting two. Niagara's over the double bonus. And he makes the first. That's 11 points for Strong. His career high here in his freshman year. 15 points at Niagara earlier this year. 1 out of 2, but the offensive rebound and the putback. Brian Carroll.
Oh, man, what a big play by Carroll.
1 point game. Niagara with the basketball, holding on 74-73. Niagara with a three-guard offense with Bernowski and Strobel. Very small lineup. As you mentioned, the big guys on the bench. And they're going to try and take the air out of it. Alvin Young somehow got to the basket.
Oh, just lulled Carroll to sleep. He went at Carroll with the slow dribble. As soon as he met Carroll on that parallel line, he just exploded right by him.
76-73. Young now with 22 points. And we've got a timeout on the floor. You have to know it's coming, and boom, he goes by anyhow.
Blosser was not there on the weak side defense. That's what hurt Loyola on that play. Blosser was standing on the left side of the floor, didn't help out. You see Blosser in the back there? You got to get there and stop Young. Help him out.
And so Alvin Young now with 22 points has helped the Purple Eagles hold off the Greyhounds for now. Like I said, they tied it at 65, but right now it's 76-73 Niagara. Just a shade under 1 minute left in the second half.
Doug, great players just make great plays. Not much on that play except the one-on-one isolation. Crucial time of the game. You see Pawerka on the bench. Alvin Young just took it right to his responsibility that I'm going to find a way to score, and he made it.
Well, down 3. Loyola with a three-pointer can tie it back up.
He's got to get up the floor.
Blosser looking for Rowe off a series of screens. Deep 3 for the tie. No. Strobel up for the rebound. And he's tied up by Rowe. And a foul called against Jason Rowe.
And the first guy to jump in Strobel's face to congratulate him on that rebound was Alvin Young. That's a leader, and that's a winner.
Brian Carroll having a few words for Strobel before he goes to the line, but Strobel came up big on the rebound.
Watch this rebound by Strobel in traffic.
Well, with Edwards and Pawerka out, somebody had to step up, and it's the little used junior from Monrovia, California.
He's one of the best outside shooters on this Niagara team as well. Could really stroke that outside shot.
Full timeout called by the Loyola Greyhounds as they trail 76-73. We'll step away from the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. 39.8 seconds left on the clock. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. 39.8 seconds left on the clock in the second half. Niagara trying to hold off Loyola. It's the number 1 seed against the number 9 seed here in the quarterfinals of the MAAC tournament.
Well, there's a couple of constants in winning close games. One of them's defense, the other's rebounding, and the other clearly is free throw shooting. And Strobel goes to the line with 39 seconds on the clock, up 3. You think these are important?
Well, the foul against Jason Rowe, sending Strobel to the line. Strobel came up with a big rebound, and before the timeout, Loyola's Brian Carroll was trying to get into Strobel's head. Strobel has only been to the line 15 times this year and hit only 7 of those 15. There's the biggest one he's hit all year. His first point of the game, junior Peter Strobel in the game because the 2 primary inside guys for Niagara on the bench with 5 fouls. He's an all-MAAC academic performer. Gets 1 out of 2. Off of Loyola, somehow Bernowski got possession. So the bench players for Niagara coming up with big plays here in the final minute.
Well, those are the kind of plays when you have inside position on a free throw. You want to pull down that defensive rebound. You don't want to give it second chance opportunity. That's like a turnover.
Blosser commits the foul, and Johnson, a 74% foul shooter, will head to the line. Either way, Young's at 78%, Johnson 74%. The starting backcourt both in the top 10 in the conference statistics and free throw percentage.
Yeah, and you wonder how Niagara won so many games this year. Free throw shooting important. Dino Gaudio not happy about that defensive rebound off the free throw. You have the inside position. You see Hurd and Carroll in there in the inside spot on the free throw line. Box and get it.
Johnson at the line. He's got 26 points. Dino Gaudio's club still not out of it. Plenty of time left. The Purple Eagles have missed back-to-back free throws now. Make it 3 in a row. And Brant Mack gets the rebound to Jason Rowe. Rowe the pull-up. Off the glass and in. It's once again a 2-point game with 28.7 to go.
Great job by Rowe. It was a good decision by Rowe not to pull up for the 3-point shot, but to try to draw the foul, take it to the basket. Quick timeout, still plenty of time. A lifetime, 28 seconds.
Jason Rowe having another strong game here in Buffalo. 25 points, including the big pull-up jumper moments ago to pull his Greyhounds back within 2, 77-75.
Rowe could have pulled the trigger and shot the 3. Went right at Jason Young. Got in the lane, high off the glass. Good balance by Rowe. Timeout. It allows Loyola to set their defense up. Damian Jennifer now in the game, a great defensive player, good on-the-ball pressure type guy.
At this time, we'd like to take a look at our Pepsi Slam of the game. And it came from Loyola's Brian Carroll in the first half. Getting up and flushing it with the 2 hands.
And getting fouled.
Pepsi Slam of the game, Brian Carroll.
Right now, Joe Mihalik is talking to his team about spreading the floor, expecting to get fouled. And this is where that new rule change comes into play. Because right now, the possession arrow is facing Niagara. So if Loyola tries to tie him up, it's still going to be Niagara's ball if it's a jump ball.
Jack Armstrong's listening in on the huddle over at Loyola, and let's see what Jack is listening to.
Loyola's going to try to base dog on all situations in a backcourt and switch all screens, every kind of screen possible, and try to get a 5 count right here, a steal or a quick foul. Back to you.
Thank you, Jack. So with 28.7 seconds to go, that's what the Greyhounds and Dino Gaudio are looking at, down by 2.
Dino Gordio putting in Damian Jennifer, the three-guard offense. Out top, there's the face guards. Foul right away. Got to.
Finally, the trip by Walker. And Alvin Young will go to the line. Nice job by Jennifer. He came in after having sat for the first 39.5 minutes of the game and did his job. And now Joe Mihalik, you see the little look on his face, will have Young go to the line. Again, he's a 78% foul shooter.
You can't fall asleep rebounding-wise on these shots. Damian Jennifer coming out. MAAC coming in for a little bit more offensive punch.
The Greyhounds have no timeouts remaining. Jennifer out, MAAC back in, and he passed on that message to his teammates as he came back in. Young gets the second. He's got 23 points. And a 22nd timeout called by the Purple Eagles.
Well, those were big foul shots. Young missing one would have put him up 4. Now it's a 3-point lead. Still plenty of time. With a guy like Jason Rowe that can get the ball up the floor so quickly, 28 seconds is plenty of time. And Joe Mihalik is telling his team right now to stay in front of Rowe. Don't reach. But if you have to foul, you got to foul it. But don't foul so quickly. You want some ticks to come off that clock.
Well, the Pepsi player of the game has been awarded to Alvin Young. As his Purple Eagles are trying to hold on. Young with 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Our Pepsi player of the game as we head back to action. The Greyhounds down by 3, trying to tie it up.
Got to get it up.
Here's Rowe. Kick it over to Walker. The deep 3. Off the front iron. Strobel comes up with it again, but threw it out of bounds. Loyola ball with 4.1 seconds to go. The Greyhounds should get another chance for another 3-point shot.
Niagara was so active defensively. They got about 3 or 4 deflections on that play, but it still came up. Now, 4 seconds on the clock. You got to go with the 3. Niagara calls a timeout, and that also gives Dino Gordio plenty of time to design his 3-point play right now.
Let's take a break. We've got a full timeout. 4.1 to go. You won't want to miss the end. The Greyhounds will have the ball when we come back. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. Back in Buffalo, Niagara holding on to a 3-point lead. The number 9 seed Loyola will have the basketball on an inbound from the baseline. Obviously, you need a 3-point shot to try and force overtime. Obviously, Jason Rowe would be the number 1 threat, but they do have other people who can put it up and in.
Well, they got some decent 3-point shooters on the floor. Max in the game, he could make 3-point shots. Anthony Walker could make 3-point shots. Carroll could shoot the 3 as well, although he hasn't taken that many. But you got to believe that Jason Rowe is going to be the guy that comes off a screen to try to nail it.
Jack, what do you see?
Loyola's going to try to go too big on little screens. Hurd and Carroll trying to get Rowe coming over to the right corner for the jumper. If not, Walker is the second option. Back to you.
All right, let's see if the Niagara defense is up to the task. MAAC is the trigger man. Bernowski guarding the inbound. Rowe is guarded by Johnson. There's Rowe. Fires it up. He doesn't get the roll. It's tipped in by Carroll with 0.7 of a second. They're within a point. The inbound, and that does it. The Niagara Purple Eagles hold on to win 78-77. The top seed knocks off number 9 by just a single point.
A terrific look that Jason Rowe got. That ball was almost down below the net before it rattled around the rim and came out. A terrific, and he really kind of made something out of nothing on that play. He was guarded by 2 guys, just using his athletic ability and great hops to get it off, and almost nailed it.
Let's take a look once again as the Greyhounds very nearly forced overtime.
Jason Rowe sets the screen for Walker, and then he comes off a double screen. And that's what got him wide open. Watch number 13 come off the screen, gets the ball, guarded by Young that time, gets up. Look how close this ball is to going in. Carroll tips it in, but 2 is not 3. Game over.
Okay, at this point, we'd like to thank our viewers along the Madison Square Garden network for watching this MAAC quarterfinal, which Niagara held on to beat and move into the semifinals. Niagara will take on St. Peter's tomorrow in the first semifinal. The Peacocks beat the Golden Griffins. Niagara beating Loyola. And for those of you on MSG, we'll see you again later on tonight. Niagara, the final score 78-77. They beat Loyola and move into the MAAC semifinals. All right, let's send it over to Jack Armstrong. Jack?
Joe, one question. Great college basketball game. You got to feel terrific right now. Huge win.
We're really happy to have won the game. I have so much respect for Dino Gaudio and Loyola. They did a great job. I think they outplayed us. I think they outcoached us. But we have these two guys here, and we have a bunch of winners, and we came up on the good end.
Congratulations, Joe. And I got Jeremiah Johnson. Jeremiah, Loyola did an outstanding job in the first half, hooking up, stopping your teammate there, Alvin Young. I thought you made a huge performance in the first half of your team. Talk a little bit about what you were trying to do in the first half.
Well, like you said earlier, they were doubling on Alvin, so it got me open looks. And I'm a senior on this team, a leader, so I have to step up. You know, this is Marine Midland, this is a MAAC tournament. My last one, I take it from my old coach. I got to come with my A game.
That's right. And you brought it.
My A game.
You brought your A game. And Alvin, you didn't have your A game in the first half, but down the stretch you had it. Talk a little bit about Loyola's defense on you in the first half and what you did to counteract that in the second half.
Well, I thought they did a great job in the beginning, in the first half, you know, as far as shutting me down. But I just want to distribute the ball a little bit more, get my teammates involved. But the second half, you know, it's time for the seniors to take over. I think, you know, if you want to be remembered as one of the great players, you have to take over when it's time. So I just felt a little urge, you know, to shoot a little bit more. And I guess it just came off.
You have that urge on occasion.
All the time.
Back to you guys. Congratulations, fellas.
All right, thank you, Jack, and congratulations to the dynamic backcourt of Jeremiah Johnson and Alvin Young. They combined for 49 points as the Purple Eagles hold on to win by the final of 78-77. The Brian Carroll tip-in at the buzzer pulled it to within one, but they needed three, and nothing you can do at that point. The Greyhounds gave it all they could.
Well, they certainly did. But Jeremiah Johnson and Alvin Young, talk about guys making big shots. That has been the key all year for Niagara. Both of those guys, not only on making big shots, but off of their defense, they've been proven to be, I think, with all the great guards in the league, I think they might be the best backcourt in this league this year.
Well, and Jack touched upon it that Alvin did not bring his A game necessarily in the first half, but in crunch time, he finished up doing it right.
See, as a former coach, he can tell him
right.
that. But I thought Alvin Young, again, made big shots. You saw him make the big crossover move, getting in the lane. He made some great stops on defense. And Jeremiah Johnson, from a decision-making standpoint in the second half, was a great floor general.
Okay, we'll take a break right now. We're in the midst of a long day of basketball here in Buffalo. The MAAC tournament, 1999 style. The Purple Eagles move on. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. Welcome back to Buffalo, and the top seeds on the men's side have survived. Niagara 78, Loyola 77. Our Pepsi MAAC basketball package, and the Greyhounds gave them all they could. But anyhow, at this point, we'd like to give you an inside look at the Canisius men's basketball team while they're traveling on the road.
The day starts early enough at 10:15 a.m. The Canisius College men's and women's basketball teams and 19 support staff board a charter plane for a day in New York City that includes a double dip of hoops at Manhattan College. This is not the way the Griffs normally travel.
My assistant Brian Miller kind of came up with the idea that we're going to be saving some money by flying down the day of the game and actually chartering and sharing a charter with the women's team. It saves us staying in a hotel. We don't have to pay for the hotel rooms, for the meals at the hotel, and all those things. And we're sharing a bus. So the plane is actually cheaper. And when you combine it with splitting the cost of the bus with the women's program, it really works out to be a better deal financially for us.
On board, the players listen to music, sleep, or study. But tonight's games are not far from their minds.
I'm really big on the mental game and just, trying to keep my mind at the game and what I want to do and what I want the team to do, and it's what I do.
And this is by far a must-win for us tonight. We can't take this team lightly at all. I think our next 5 or 6 games are really important, and it starts tonight.
The toughest part right now is what you can't control, and you don't know. I have no idea what Manhattan's going to do. I mean, they played us a little box and 1, a little triangle and 2 last time. They played us zone, they played us man. So there are a lot of things to cover. We've tried to go over as much as we could yesterday. We'll get a quick refresher during shoot-around today, and then I have to trust our players' instincts.
12:14 p.m. Touchdown in Gotham. The power and glory of the big city await. So both Griffin teams do what they must to speed up the process and get the teams on the road to the Big Apple. We see a little more of Spanish Harlem than we intend and don't arrive at the campus in Riverdale until 1:27 in the afternoon. Getting lost has cost the women their short sightseeing trip. They watch while the men go through their shoot-around and then head to a pregame meal. Meanwhile, for everyone associated with the men's team, this is a crucial part of the day. Senior guard John Ford is the school's star soccer goalie, but on this team he plays very little. It is in a practice like this that he contributes the most.
Of course, you want to be a contributor and you want to play 40 minutes, but, that's not always what's going to happen. And you have to, take the situation that you're given and make the best of it. And, if my job is making Kevin better and if my job is making Clive better, that's my job, and I'm content with my job. That doesn't mean I don't go out and work hard and try and play and think about playing because, if the opportunity were there, I'm ready to play, and Coach MAAC knows that.
Preparation, it turns out, is a common theme for everyone at this moment.
So this is our walkthrough where we go through all the plays that they run, and there's definitely a need for concentration. I felt the last time we played them in a walkthrough we didn't concentrate as well. So it is important right now for us to do that, especially with the change in our normal routine, flying down on the charter. We usually come from the hotel here, but now we're coming from the plane, so it's a little bit different.
As I sit here now, I kind of go through some calls in my head a little bit, especially seeing the guys, out there. See who's looking sharp right now in the shoot-around and who's not. A couple guys lingering injuries to see how they're moving in the pregame shoot-around, and just to get the overall mood of the team. And that you can convey that in the broadcast when they're a little tight or loose.
Practice ends at 2:29. The guys grab some all-sport and a quick snack, then have some time to survey the New York architecture. The Griffs try to talk their way into a spontaneous tour of one landmark, but the Yankees become the first team in a month to rebuff the Griffs.
It was beautiful. It was great, just like you thought. You got shut out, no pull.
3:42 p.m. The Griffs top off the fuel tanks with a lunch of salad, chicken, and pasta. Then they'll have a long, slow bus ride through Upper Manhattan to the women's game, which is already underway. "5:39 p.m., the men arrive at Dratty Gymnasium. 4 minutes into the women's game, and the Lady Griffs already up 10 points. By halftime, their lead is 13. Though the Lady Jaspers tie the game, Griffs freshman Shauna Garrison gets hot down the stretch. Manhattan and ex-UB coach Sal Buscaglia gets hot too, because at 7:05 p.m., Canisius has an 89-73 win.
We flew down this day, and then we had to sit around so long before the game, which was unusual. We got here really early. So we came out kind of slow at the beginning, but actually, we came back when we needed it at the end, and we did really good.
I think everyone was nervous coming into the game, having to fly. We flew here, and we just played, so I think everyone was nervous about having jet lag and stuff, but it was a big win. It picks us up fourth place by ourselves. It gives us confidence that we need to go on and play the rest of the 4 games we got.
Canisius College basketball is on the air, live from Dratty Gymnasium, Riverdale, New York. It's the Red Hot Golden Griffins who record.
Here we go. "7:52 p.m. Jamie Cameron's jam pulls Canisius to within 25-14. But Manhattan scores 15 of the game's next 20 points. Mike McDonald gets angrier and angrier.
3 points! No! No! What are you doing?
Offensive interference by Canisius.
Why did you change your call? How could you change your call? John! John!
At the half, the rout is on. Canisius has played its worst half in a month and is down by 18 to the 10th place team in the league.
At the basket, have it.
And the second half is no better. Finally, at 9:18, the game mercifully comes to an end.
Our final score this evening is Manhattan College 80 and Canisius 57.
In our league, you have to come out and play hard every night, and anyone can beat anyone in this league. That's why the tournament's so tough, and that's why you just have to come out and play hard every day, every game.
I mean, we just didn't look like the tight team that we've been the last 8 straight win games.
It also shows you how fragile success is, really, and we talked about this a little bit on the way down, that we have to do all the little things right if we're going to win. And we've proven, we've beaten every team in this league. We haven't beaten Fairfield yet, and we have to play them on Thursday. But that was a 1-point game, so we think we can beat every team in this league, but you can also lose to every team in this league. And we have to learn that, you know, if we're going to win games, we have to do all the little things right.
After a delay on the ground in New Jersey, our charter takes the whole tired crew back to Buffalo. And so at 12:38, this long day comes to an end with a win for the women, a loss for the men, and 2 games for each team still left in the week ahead. Covering the Golden Griffins, Josh Mora, Empire Sports Network.
All right, thank you, Josh. Unfortunately, earlier today, the Griffs were knocked out of this MAAC tournament. When we come back, we'll tell you the score, show you the brackets, and tell you what's coming up. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this.